Well, thank you all for joining us for today's Top 3 in 30 webinar. Our webinar is provided for you by the Delaware National Estuarine Research Reserve. Our reserve is managed by DNREC's Division of Climate, Coastal, and Energy and is part of a national network of reserves that are funded by NOAA. My name is Lynn Pusey, and I'm the Training and Engagement Coordinator for the Reserve's Coastal Training Program. Today's webinar is all about Delaware's energy programs. I have a few quick housekeeping things to go over, and then we'll jump right in. If you are interested in subtitles during today's presentation, you can do so using the icon at the bottom of your screen with a CC in it and the label Show Captions. All participants are muted for this webinar. If you have questions during the presentation, please place those in the chat box. We will not be raising hands for verbal questions during the webinar, but I will be monitoring the chat and we'll go through questions at the end of the presentation. Today's webinar is being recorded. A copy of that recording will be made available to you afterwards and will be placed on the Coastal Training Program website. Today's webinar will be presented by Brett Swan. Brett is a principal planner with Delaware State Energy Office. Thank you, Brett, for joining us today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to allow Brett to share his screen now so that he can tell you a little bit more about himself and about Delaware's energy programs. Hey, Brett, you should be able to share your screen now.
All right, good. See that okay?
Yep, looks good.
All right, good. All right, so thank you, Lynn. She said, my name is Brett Swan, Principal Planner at Delaware State Energy Office. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit today about Delaware's energy programs. So I'm going to cover the programs, but I break them into three categories, just to overview here. So the top three takeaways that I want you guys to come away with today. Energy efficiency, right? Because the cheapest form of energy is the energy that you do not use. Solar, and I apologize for this one being corny. I could not think of a better one because the future is bright. So I'm going to talk to you about solar in Delaware specifically. And then the last one, NEBs. If you do not know what that is, we're going to talk about that towards the end. There might be a quiz, so please remember what NEBs stands for. So we're going to start with our Energy Efficiency Investment Fund, so EEF. EEF is a rebate program for the installation or replacement of aging and inefficient equipment with new energy efficient alternatives. So eligible participants include all non-residential, commercial, industrial, local government, nonprofit entities in the state of Delaware that pay into the public utility tax, which can appear on your electric or gas utility bills. So the reasons to go through EEF, right? Lowers overall operating costs, increase energy security and reliability, and it can improve the building's overall environmental footprint. So EEF is most frequently, EEF most frequently provides support to retail stores, healthcare agencies, restaurants, and even indoor ag facilities. So some of the projects that EEF does support more specifically, so energy assessments. Energy assessments issues a technical assistance to evaluate facilities for cost-efficient energy upgrades. So this is a detailed analysis of a specific facility to identify areas that they can best reduce the amount of gas or electricity that they're using. The prescriptive pathway, this provides measures for a broad range of common upgrades with defined rebate amounts. So like LED lighting fixtures, HVAC, water heating, skipping ahead too fast. The custom pathway encourages the implementation of unique non-standard energy efficient measures. These are typically more complex. And then the last one is combined heat and power, CHP, which is designed for larger facilities with high annual hours of operation and high thermal loads. So these are some of the projects that go through EEF. One of them is a small business. It's a bike store in Dover. And then just some other ones that we go through. So moving on to solar. So the Green Energy Fund. Green Energy Fund was created to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy in Delaware. Why? Because renewable energy reduces emissions that are harmful to the environment and human health, improves energy reliability, and benefits our local economy. Green Energy Fund includes Green Energy Program, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, a low to moderate income solar program that I'll also touch on, and then multiple new programs that are currently in development. So I mentioned the future. Future is bright for solar, right? Because we have a lot of new initiatives that we're developing. Things like solar plus storage, right? So battery energy storage, support for community solar programs, targeting new incentives for things like canopy solar, solar on brownfields, those types of things. So the Green Energy Program, more specifically, this program provides rebates to help Delaware homeowners, businesses, and nonprofit organizations install renewable energy systems like solar or geothermal. This one is eligible to only Delmarva Power customers because that's how the revenue for this fund is generated from Delmarva customers. So since 1999, when the program was created, we've provided more than $70 million for renewable energy projects that are installed directly into Delaware. More than 7,800 homeowners, businesses, and nonprofits have benefited from these grants and has helped increase Delaware solar capacity from 8.6 megawatts in 2010 to more than 273 by the end of 2025. So just a quick note, this is just, numbers aren't super important here, but just to show the overall growth that solar has had in the state over the last decade is significant, right? Just by the end of 25, more than 200 additional megawatts. And that's significant for a small state like ours. And it's only going to keep going up, right? So we're currently, as part of the state energy plan, developing what our additional state goals are going to be. So this number is going to only continue to grow. Related to that is our low to moderate income solar program. So this program was designed specifically to bring renewable energy to Delawareans that have historically been underserved by existing state programs and incentives. There's two pathways. So the first one is through low income. So for people who qualify as low income are eligible for a free 4-kilowatt solar system after completing the weatherization assistance program. This is a categorically eligible program, right? So if someone qualifies for LIHEAP or SNAP, that means they do qualify to come through this program. On the moderate side, falling into that income bracket, you're eligible to receive up to 70% of the solar installation covered. And that's for a 6-kilowatt installation. So if you're in the moderate bracket, you only have to pay the remaining 30%. And typically for those customers, we refer them to the SCU, or Energized Delaware, as more people probably know it, who provides the lowest rate loans that are provided in the state. Since the program launched initially as a pilot in 2022, 150 applications have been received. 129 solar installations have been completed through this program. It did start off small with a relatively small budget, but this is a program that we are looking to invest a significant amount of money in now. So we hope that this continues to grow as well. So the weatherization assistance program. So we're getting close to talking about NEBs. Or we call it WAP. Also a free program that is offered to income eligible Delawareans. Helps homeowners and renters cut their energy bills by weatherproofing and improving the energy efficiency of their homes. Starts with an energy audit conducted by a certified professional who will identify all the areas that your home can be improved. Specific services that we provide includes things like air sealing, weather stripping, attic, floor, and wall insulation, replacement of broken glass, and ceiling heating and cooling ducts. So pictures of what that actually means, right? So a couple of these, adding insulation to manufactured housing, both middle picture there, both for the roof and then the underneath the manufactured homes. So the importance of NEBs, right? So NEBs are non-energy benefits. NEBs are the positive outcomes that result from energy efficiency efforts beyond just the direct savings in energy and demand. So yes, people that come through the weatherization assistance program, they do see a 20 to 30% decrease in their monthly electric bill, right? That is significant, especially for people in this income bracket. But there's a lot more to it than that, and this is why WAP is one of my personal favorite programs that we have that provides the most direct benefit to people that need it. So through WAP, we have what's called health and safety measures. So things like heating system safety tests, ventilation repairs, moisture control, smoke and CO2 detector installation and repair, general safety repairs. And through the health and safety aspect, the average Delaware could see $500 less in medical expenses after receiving WAP services. So think of if you have children with asthma in your home, right? Improving the air sealing of your home vastly improves the actual living conditions that are inside of your home. Right. So it's not just are you using less energy? Is your home more comfortable? Is the room that used to be extremely hot in the summer now cool and you're comfortable living in your own home? Right. So there's a lot of benefits outside of just what your energy bills look like. And I will say the 20 to 30% decrease in the energy savings, which comes out to like 50, was about $50 a month. That was numbers prepared by DOE before recent spikes in electric rates, right? So I'm sure that those savings are even more now. And just a couple personal stories of why WAP is important, right? So there are examples where we have gone into homes and identified a carbon monoxide leak in a house that had 4 small children in it, right? That the family had no idea about because they didn't have carbon monoxide detectors in their home, right? So that's no small thing that we can help with. Another example is an older gentleman who had a significant gas leak in his basement that he didn't know about. That was so bad when the crews opened the door to the basement, they could smell the gas. In those situations, they are emergency situations where we have to shut off gas immediately. But that could have been a dangerous situation. Right, gas leaks can be extremely dangerous, could lead to house fires. So just to highlight all the important things that this program does. Real quick, I am approaching the end. I present very fast, so hopefully there are a lot of questions because there's a lot of time left to ask questions. So if you'd like to learn more, I do have some links here to a number of things. So Delaware State Energy Office, all the things we do, programs and policy you could find there. Delaware State Energy Plan that we released at the end of 2024, you can find. Delaware's Energy Hub. So if this is something that really interests you and you want to get into the weeds on things about energy, that's the place to go. Links to all the programs I mentioned, ETH, Green Energy Fund, Weatherization Assistance Program, and the LMI Solar Program. So again, thank you. The top 3 things I wanted people to remember, right? Energy efficiency, because the cheapest form of energy is what you do not use, right? So it's very important, especially as we're coming up on the summer months. Solar, right? The future is bright in Delaware specifically. Nationally, there's things going on, but in Delaware, we are advancing solar. And then NEBs, right? There's more to energy efficiency and solar than just what you see in your electric bill. And if you have more questions after this presentation, there's no.
Thanks, Brett. So I'm going to keep an eye on the chat to see if anyone wants to drop a question in the chat. But I had a couple follow-up things, if you don't mind. So a few questions based on based on what you presented on, when you talked about EAF, when you talked about the Energy Efficiency Investment Fund, you mentioned that they do assessments for energy upgrades, and I was wondering who does the assessment? Is that folks that you have in-house, or do you hire out for that? Who completes those assessments?
Yeah, so for both EFA and the Green Energy Fund, there's a list of approved contractors who were vetted and verified and have the certifications so they're qualified to do that work.
Okay,
So not people that we have in-house, but companies in Delaware that are certified.
perfect. Thanks. One of the questions that we have in the chat, how does the SEO work with Energize Delaware in implementing those programs?
Yeah,
SEO
so
being State Energy Office for everyone here. Sorry.
yeah, so we try to coordinate as much as possible, and a lot of our programs do have sub connection, right? So I mentioned the low income solar program, right? For low moderate income solar program for people that are on the moderate side, right? 30% of a solar installation for someone who is in moderate income is still a significant amount of money, right? So referring them to the SEU to take advantage of that low income load. The SEU has their what's this name up? HEC squared, the home checkup, and the Delaware Energy Relief Fund. Um, so people that go through that program, right, they're also sometimes income eligible for our program. So making sure we refer people. Generally, all the contractors, especially between WAP and kind of all the low income and income verified programs we have, do a very good job of making sure they refer people to other programs that they might be eligible for, even if it's not for that specific program that the person's there for.
Okay. Thank you. Another question in the chat. How did you get to the $514 figure on health savings?
That is a good question. That is not our figure. That's a figure that came from a DOE study. So I'll have to track that down and provide it for you.
Okay, thank you. When you were talking about the Green Energy Fund, you had talked about solar, you mentioned canopy solar. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about the different types of solar? Like how is canopy solar different than like what I might put on my roof, or is that the same thing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So there's rooftop solar, right? There's ground mounted solar. So even at your house, if you didn't want to put it on your roof, if you have the yard space, and the shadings is right, you could put it in the ground. Canopy solar is kind of what even people who are skeptical on solar still agree with, because it's putting solar over like parking lots, for example, right? So so you're not taking like farmland up, for example, right? So generally, canopy solar is kind of the most popular because you're taking space that's already kind of wasted as a parking lot. There is added cost to doing that, which is why Delaware does not have a lot of it. So that's why we're trying to develop an incentive program so that we can see more of that. There's also community solar. Community solar is for people who we are starting to get projects built in Delaware and have some now. So if you can't install solar on your own home, or if you live in an apartment complex, for example, or your roof's in poor condition, you could subscribe to a community solar program. Just basically you get, excuse me, where you can get the benefits of that project. So you don't have to actually have it installed where you live.
And Green Energy Fund covers some of those solar options, all of those. What can you tell a little bit about what that covers?
Yep. So Green Energy Fund covers residential solar, so for homeowners, businesses, nonprofits. So it's rooftop solar generally, kind of what we call a smaller scale. So not the large kind of solar fields that you might see.
Okay, thanks. You had also talked about the rebates for Delmarva Power customers. Do the rebates cover the entire cost of the project or just part of that?
So for green energy program, it's a size-based incentive. So the size of your system kind of determines how much your grant is. It is capped right now, so the upper limit on the residential one is $6,000. For nonprofits, you get for commercial businesses, you get up to 30,000. Nonprofits can get up to 40,000. Right, so they are significant grants. We are looking at we are reevaluating the incentives as well, right? Because this is the first year where the investment tax credit has fallen off. So there are some changes there. So we may adjust them to account for that.
Okay. With the low to moderate solar income program, you had shown that there were 150 applications, 129 are complete. Are all of the others underway, or are they in queue? Or is there a reason why any would be declined? Is there something that would be helpful for folks who would want to apply for that?
Yeah, so we try to do a pretty good job because with that program specifically, we have a smaller group of contractors, so kind of ones that go through a higher screening process for qualifications. So we're pretty good at making sure if you start your application, right, we kind of know that you're going to get through. With on the low income side, what is the most common problem is roofs, right? And roofs are expensive. So either your roof's older, and if you have a roof that's 20, 25 years old, it kind of doesn't make sense to put solar on your roof at that point. If you have holes, if you need repairs, that's kind of the biggest barrier for people right now.
That makes sense. There is a new question in the chat. It says, if I don't own the solar panels on my home and I can't get the tax credit, as the homeowner and the owner of a Tesla power panel, backup generator, can I apply for the programs?
So for the green energy program, you have to submit your grant application within 1 year of the system being installed. So from the way the question was worded, it kind of sounds like it may have been installed for a while. But if it's been a year since it's been installed, you can apply for the grant. We do not provide grants for leased system or what's called power purchase agreements.
Okay.
There's also a specific list of contract solar companies that are on our list that you do have to use. But it is possible we do add more contractors frequently to it. So we always recommend people start with the list that we provide online. And if your specific contractor that you want to use isn't on there, you just have to let us know, and they just have to submit an application first to join the program before you can start your application.
That's good to know. Lori, thank you for your comment in the chat. Lori mentioned that she's thinking that some solar companies have partnerships with roofing companies to help lower the price if a new roof is required. So that's helpful information as well. So kind of thinking about also the weatherization assistance program, sort of moving on a little bit from LMI. You had mentioned that that's income eligible. What are the specific criteria for that income eligibility?
Yeah, so give me 1 second. I should pull that up for you. Roughly, I can give you the idea. So, and it's based by household size, right? And these numbers are about to be updated. So when we start our new program here in July, they are going to go up a little bit. But just for example, a 2-person household, if it's about $41,000 or less, that makes you eligible. For a 4-person household, $62,000 or less makes you eligible. So we have it broken down on our website by household size and what the income is. But like I said, those numbers will be going up a little bit in a few months.
And that's for folks to come out to your house to do that assessment and make those upgrades. Okay. So do you have any suggestions for anyone who may not be eligible to have one of our weatherization assistance program folks come to our house? Do you have any suggestions for like what we could do if we're not eligible?
Yeah, so if you're in, and that happens a lot, right? People fall just outside of what the income eligibility is. Um, the SEU's program, especially the relief fund, they did increase those eligibility requirements above kind of what ours are. They're trying to hit a higher income. So they do offer some of these. If you go through the HEC squared program, you do get it's not as in-depth of an energy audit as going through the WAP program, but it is similar, and they will help you identify some of the key problems that might be in your house in terms of energy efficiency. They do some minor, like you can get pre-LED light bulbs, for example, right through that process. So I would recommend if you fall outside of the eligibility for our programs to start with the SEU programs.
Okay. And SEU again
Energized
stands for?
Delaware. Sorry. SEU,
Okay.
Sustainable Energy Utility, which is also called Energized Delaware.
Energized Solar. Excellent. Okay, thanks. And maybe we can grab a link for that then to put in the follow-up email. So I think that would be helpful for folks to know as well. Does anyone else have any additional questions for Brett right now? Okay, I'm not seeing anything else pop up in the chat. So we are just 3 minutes shy of our 30-minute mark, which is not, that this is a fine time to end our conversation for today. If anyone does have any follow-up questions, please feel free to send myself an email or send Brett an email. I will be sending out a follow-up email after today's webinar. That email will include all of the resource links that were provided today, along with a link to view the webinar recording. And if there are any additional questions that come up, we can address those in the follow-up email as well. But right now, I want to say thank you to Brett for taking the time to talk with us today and providing some great information on Delaware's energy programs. We appreciate everyone on the call today for joining us. I hope that each of you will be stepping away with some good takeaways from today. Our next Top 3 in 30 webinar will be May 21st at 2 p.m. I'm going to drop a link in the chat for you to take a look at our upcoming webinars. On May 21st, we'll be talking about mitigation and resiliency in disaster housing. I'm also going to put one final link. I know we hit you with a lot of links today. I'm going to put one final link in the chat, and I'm going to ask you all to click on that for me right now. Make sure it opens for you. This is our follow-up survey from our webinar today. I ask you to take a moment. It's 3 quick questions. We'd love to hear some feedback from you from today's webinar. And with that, with no more questions in the chat, I think we'll call it a day. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.